The EU is being hit by a scandal at the heart of its European institutions, and at a crucial time when the Russian war is still ongoing, with critical decisions that need to be made for the European citizens. At the same time, an answer to the energy crisis remains elusive to EU leaders. To discuss this, I'm joined here in Brussels by the Prime Minister of Poland, Mateusz Morawiecki. So, Prime Minister, thank you very much for being here with us.
Thanks for having me.
First, I would like to start by addressing the recent so-called Qatargate scandal with the alleged bribery of EU officials, including European Parliament's Vice President involvement. So when you heard this news, were you shocked? And what does all this say to you?
Well, I was quite shocked, and I got acquainted with some details of this, and I hope that, the rule of law is going to be back to the European Parliament, and all those scandalous behaviors are going to be explained.
Prime Minister, at the same time, while the EU citizens are watching all this political drama, we see that also the EU, after months of endless talks, is still at a standstill when it comes to handling the energy crisis.
That's
EU
right.
ministers failed once more this week. So, should we expect a breakthrough soon?
I'm not so sure, because I see that some countries which have to deal with this crisis from the point of view of the prices of gas, prices of oil, do this in a very, very selfish way. They do not see a bigger picture. They do not see impact of the natural resources and the prices on Ukraine, indirect impact, because fueling the Russian war machine should stop as quickly as possible. And Poland was always one of those countries, one of those very few countries which were the most radical in terms of increasing big sanction packages very quickly, because we were of the view that the sooner we are going to really address the Russian war machine, the sooner the peace and good peace is going to be back in Europe.
But when it comes to all these negotiations about the gas price cap, how can you explain to the citizens that are seeing their bills actually skyrocketing that
Exactly.
the EU leaders cannot find a solution?
Exactly. Several countries, including Poland, some months ago, April, May and June, we have pushed the European Commission and some other northern countries in particular, together with Italy and Spain, we were trying to actionate, we are trying to stimulate appropriate common denominator, let's put it like this, because we knew that the cap on gas price should be found somewhere in the middle of our expectations and some expectations of Germany and the Netherlands and the others. However, the way how they stubbornly block this is, to me, quite worrisome, because
so
I believe that this is still, we are still far from finding a compromise on gas price cap.
So it's Germany and the Netherlands to blame for this deadlock?
Well, I'm not blaming anybody, but I'm just signaling that solidarity for the whole of Europe means to work out as quickly as possible common denominator, and not always the lowest common denominator.
So is the energy security of the continent at risk this winter and the few winters to come?
Absolutely. The European Union is quite an economic powerhouse, and we can also dictate, or maybe dictate is too strong a word, but we can push our partners, and I don't mean Russia by this, I mean our other countries, to have mid-term or long-term agreements on gas set on an appropriate level and not dependent on such huge fluctuations and speculations which happened in August of this year and in September.
The war in Ukraine is still ongoing with no end in sight. So the French President Emmanuel Macron said that the West should consider giving security guarantees to Russia to end the war. Is it a realistic option?
Well, I think that Russia, being superpower, or weakened, but still having nuclear weapon and having strong army, really does not require any type of guarantees, because they have the guarantees in their own hands. The only country which needs support and guarantees for their sovereignty and security is Ukraine here. So this is why I think that our appropriate approach would be if we support Ukraine through stronger weapon delivery and financial aid, so that Putin and the Kremlin see that we are serious in supporting Ukraine not only throughout this winter, but in the years to come.
But in the end, I would like to ask you about a more EU issue. So the EU decided to freeze EU funds for Hungary over concerns that this money may aid corruption. What is your opinion on that?
Well, I can tell you that I'm astonished and shocked with the corruption in the European Parliament. That's the first thing, and I think that the procedures in the European Parliament and in the other institutions should be reviewed big time. As far as the approach of the European Union to Hungary is concerned, I think that given that Hungary is has quite a conservative government, this is one of the reasons why Hungary is so much attacked. I'm not expert on Hungarian ecosystem. I think that significant part, if not all, of the attacks are unjustified.
Concerns were also raised for your country, Poland, but no such decision was made. So what do you have to say to those claiming double standards for Poland and Hungary?
Well, I can only emphasize that both Hungary and Poland are treated in a very unjust way. It shouldn't.
So do you feel targeted by the EU Commission? Do you feel
we are targeted by the European Commission all the time for last couple of years, because they do not agree in repairing, in reforming post-communist judiciary system.
Do you feel that Brussels softened somehow its attitude towards Poland after the war?
Softened? Well, I don't see this at all. I see that they are still very brutally intervening beyond their competences, which are not included in the treaties, and we are quite loud about this. This is why I'm so surprised with their approach for last years.
Okay, Prime Minister, thank you very much for this interview.
Thank you so much for having me.